My name is Josh and I'm a tech here at SONDORS, and today we'll be helping you to assemble your MadMods Cafe edition. So once you got everything out of the box, all unpackaged, you see everything you got here. You got the fork, handlebar, we have the front fender, we got the cover for the wires, back attachment seat, got our pedals, LCD screen, battery and charger, and some reflectors for your wheels. Before going too deep into the assembly of your MadMods, make sure to plug your battery in. That way when you're done assembling the bike, you can go out for a ride. Alright, so first step to assemble your MadMods is we're going to want to install the fork onto your frame. We're going to want to loosen this top cap using your 5mm hex key. Take it off and just set it aside for now. Next, you'll want a buddy to help you lift the bike up. If you can't lift the bike up, you don't have to hold it nearby, you can lay the bike on its side and you can slide the fork on that way. So remove the dummy fork. Take your MadMod fork, loosen the bolts on the side of the crown, remove the crown, remove the first spacer, and insert your fork. Once you got the fork on there, make sure the first spacer is all the way down. Put your second spacer on. Put your crown back on. Once we get the crown on place, we'll reinstall the top cap and snug that down. So now that you got the fork all mounted, you'll want to make sure you tighten the bolts on the crown. Make sure those are all snug and tight. Once you got those, you want to take your 5mm hex key, loosen the top bolts on this. Remove the clamp and just set it aside for now. Pick up your handlebar, make sure that they're on the right side, make sure the cables aren't binded or twisted. Once you got the right orientation, go ahead and put the bars down, place a clamp on top, and tighten down the bolts. Alright, so now we got your fork and handlebar mounted. Next step is we're going to mount the front wheel. To do that, we're going to remove the front axle. You'll need your 8mm hex key, and spin the axle to the left to remove it. On the right side you have a nut. You want to make sure you keep that nut, don't lose it. And you can slide your axle right out. Guide your front wheel in, making sure the rotor goes through the middle of the pads and it sits right on the holes on the fork. Once you got that all aligned, go ahead and insert your axle. Using your hex key, tighten down the axle. Once you got the axle tight, take your 4mm hex key and tighten the bolts on the front of the fork. Alright, so next step is we'll throw on the pedals on the bike. Our pedals labeled green for the left, red for the right. We'll start off with the right pedal. The left pedal is a reverse thread, so you'll want to turn to the left counterclockwise. And then we'll use our 15mm open-ended wrench to tighten down the pedals. Next up on the Cafe, you have your speedster solo seat. To install that, you have 6 3mm bolts, 3 on each side. You want to take your 3mm hex key and remove all that hardware. Alright, once we have all the hardware removed, you want to grab your cowl, place it on the back, make sure the holes line up on the holes on the seat. Once you got that lined up, go ahead and install the hardware. Alright, so next up we'll mount the LCD screen. The LCD has these 2 mounts. We're going to mount this right between the handlebars here. You want to place it right in the middle. Close the clamps. Slide it back. We're going to grab our 2 little hardware screws that come with our LCD. I'm going to put them right here in the back. And we're going to use our 2mm hex key to tighten those down. Alright, once you got the LCD on there, the LCD has these black covers on the back side, one on the left, one on the right. You're going to want to remove these covers by pulling them off. We'll have the switch, the buttons for the LCD. These buttons will go here on the left side of the handlebar. Start by removing the bolt off the back side of the buttons. Place it on the bar and reinstall the bolt. Alright, once you got your buttons on there, we're going to want to connect the LCD. You're going to have this cable with this little cap on it. We're going to want to pull that end cap off. Set that aside. On the connector, you're going to have a small arrow. You want to make sure that arrow is on the top side facing up. You're going to connect it to the port and go ahead and push that in firmly. Alright, so now we're going to want to connect the USB in the mount. Slide it over the handlebar. You'll want to drop the bolt from the hole on top and fasten it with your 2mm hex key. Grab your USB cable, run it through the mount, coming in from the side and through the front. Pop the USB in place. Grab the connector. Same thing with aero on top. You want to line that up with the port on the left side of the LCD. Alright, so next step, we want to install the LED headlight on the front of the bike. To do that, we'll want to connect it first using the connector here. The connector has an arrow on it. You want to line that up with the arrow on the harness. Go ahead and push them together firmly. Next step, you want to take your sleeve, place it through the headlight. And with the help of a friend, they can hold the guard while you mount the bolt. Next step is throw on the front fender. To do that, you're gonna want to mount this on the fork here. All you need to do is remove the hardware from the fork using a 5mm hex key. Place the hardware through the hole on the fender. And using the 5mm hex key, you're gonna want to remount that bolt on the hole. Alright, so last step is we want to put the battery into the bike. To do that, you'll need your keys. Your keys will be mounted onto the handlebar with a zip tie. Go ahead and get your keys. We'll put the keys into the keyhole. Turn to the left to unlock the compartment. And you want to grab your battery. The battery will have the on switch on the front side. You have your port and the notch on the back side. Put the side with the notch on the back end towards the back of the bike. You're going to turn the handlebar all the way to the side. Put your battery in. Back in first. Once you got that up, you can push up. Push the latch to the left. Battery go in. Turn your key to the right to lock the battery in place. Pull it out, and you're all set. So now we got the battery on. All that's left is turn on the bike. To turn on the bike, we're going to want to turn on the battery from this compartment here. Open up the rubber cap, push the switch down to turn on the LCD. Going to hold the I button for about 3 seconds. We're going to power it up. You can use your plus and minus buttons to go through your pedal assist levels. Before you go on your first ride, I want you to just make sure all the bolts are tight on your fork and the cockpit. Make sure you get some air in your tires and pedals are tight. Once you're through with all that, you're ready for your first ride.